What's up, everybody? My name's Trey. Welcome back to Better Days Sports. And in today's episode, we'll actually be breaking down some NBA trades, giving them some rankings. And in this video specifically, we'll be going over the Los Angeles Clippers trading Zubac to the Pacers for Bennedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, 2 first-round picks, and 1 second-round pick. Now, this is one of those trades that looks expensive on paper, and I'm not saying that it wasn't expensive, but when you actually look into where the league is going, I think both of these teams made the right decision for this. Now, why exactly, I guess, does this trade matter? So, for the Indianapolis Pacers acquiring Zubac from the actual Clippers, at first glance, you're going to say, oh, the Pacers overpaid for a starting center, not like an all-star level center, but a very good starting center. It's competent, solid. I would argue that the East is starting to change a little bit in terms of the 76ers have Joel Embiid back healthy-ish. Whenever he plays, he's putting up like 30 a game. He's a monster when he plays. The New York Knicks have both Robertson and Cat, so both big 4 and 5. And the Pistons now have an all-star center. So centers are becoming a commodity in the East more than we have seen as of lately. Normally the East is comprised of big wings, LeBron, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, or just absolutely dynamic scorers, Tyreek Maxey, Jalen Brunson. And this is a move, I think, for the Indianapolis Pacers that they had to make out of necessity, not only because the East is changing so much with getting centers, but it's also going to help them so much going forward because of their star who's coming off a major injury. Haliburton tore his Achilles in the finals, and coming off of that, I would argue that they're not going to play nearly as fast as what they've played in recent years. They're not just going to be completely run and gun, get up and down the floor. And I feel like the Zubac signing or the Zubac trade that they did allows them to slow the game down a little bit, give him the ball on the block, and allows Halliburton, which first year off an Achilles tear, is probably not going to be his super dynamic. I'm already look like I'm super healthy. I'm a run and gun again. He's gonna take at least a year, in my opinion, to kind of get back into full form. And having a guy that you can go to on the block that can slow the game down and allow Halliburton to win with his IQ, not necessarily being the fastest up and down team in the league, I think bodes extremely well for their future, protecting their all-star player while also getting a very solid center who is going to allow you to compete in the East when everybody else is moving towards centers. And probably the thing that I want to get across specifically when it comes to this trade, this isn't the Indianapolis Pacers completely abandoning pace, because that's really what they built last year on is run and gun. We have a ton of very competent players at every position. We have an all-star in Siakam. We have Halliburton, who some of y'all are going to hate it, but he looks like a young Magic Johnson. Calm yourself. I'm not saying he is Magic, but he's definitely playing the same style of basketball in terms of he's getting the ball to the people at the right time. He's allowing other people to get easy shots and easy buckets based on his playmaking. And not only that, but he has definitely stepped up his offensive game when it comes to creating plays for himself and not just other people. So now with Zubac, this gives him the option to slow the game down. And then, hey, Halliburton, you're still one of arguably the best point guards in the league when it comes to your vision and playmaking ability. So we're gonna run through Zubac. We're gonna slow the game down. And at any point in time where we get a rebound, we get a fast break, you can continue to run. We just don't have to do it 24/7 and do it the entire game. Now on the flip side for the Clippers are clearly getting younger, getting off of James Harden as well as Zubac, bringing in Garland. Now they're bringing in Mathurin, they're bringing in Jackson, and they have future picks and flexibility. They're retooling their roster, but not necessarily rebuilding. Here's what I mean. Kawhi is playing at such a high level. You want the basketball to be in Kawhi's hands. You also don't want the entire burden of this offense on Kawhi, because we all know Kawhi Leonard's health history, and one injury turns into a whole season of him not playing back to backs, only playing once a week, getting into the playoffs, not looking completely healthy, looking a little shaky. And that's something that the Clippers can absolutely not have, specifically this year. And getting Garland, who says he's healthy, getting Mathurin, who is a young, dynamic scorer and arguably was, outside of Siakam, the Pacers' best player this year with Haliburton being hurt. Jackson gives you an athletic freak who's going to play his role, going to rebound, going to play defense. And then you also got flexibility in picks to where you know that since you have an older roster, you also have flexibility now in the future. If you really want to make a run at Giannis, or if you want to trade Kawhi and get an absolutely boatload of picks, you can rebuild quickly, in my opinion, without absolutely having to tank for multiple seasons because of the picks that you got back for this. Now, not every trade is super flashy. And this is definitely one that a lot of people kind of scratch their head around. Say the Clippers were doing so well coming off these last 20 games or so, with Kawhi being MVP level Kawhi for the first time in really since like the playoff run with Toronto. And this is a trade for both teams that makes a lot of sense. The Pacers now have a reliable center that Miles Turner has left and got the bag from the Bucks, but it also gives them the flexibility to not only play with pace but now play in a half court offense and allow their young star to get back to full health without having to overexert himself. And hopefully, because of that, we'll be able to put him on a minutes restriction, allow him to come back in a way that he's not going to get injured or feel like he has to get acclimated back to this team immediately because they're trying to be in win now mode. And for the Clippers, getting younger, getting picks, and getting legit hoopers, I think is always a good thing. Sure, like I said, neither of these players that were traded are Hall of Fame level. You're not saying, oh, Zubac is gonna get you to win a finals now. Oh, Mathurin on the Clippers next to Kawhi is gonna be this two-headed monster. That's not necessarily what we're saying, but I feel like this trade for both teams really fits solidly. I'm giving the Indianapolis Pacers an A because it fits the timeline. It makes sense. Look what the rest of the East is doing. This trade makes sense. I promise you it does. I know it looks like an overpay on paper. Zubox is going to fit seamlessly into the system. And for the Clippers, look, let's get some young, athletic, exciting players around Kawhi, exactly like what Toronto did for them. And with Kawhi playing so well, this might be the young athletic core that can really take you on a run in the playoffs, maybe even into the finals if Kawhi can really come into his bag as an MVP level player this season. But leave your comments in the comment sections down below. Did you think that the Pacers gave too much for Zubox? Or do you like this team? Now, the Pacers, that is. Like I said, I'm giving the Pacers an A. I'm also giving the Clippers an A. I like this trade for both sides. But leave your opinions down in the comment section down below. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell to be notified every time I post a video. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.